Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the round 5 of the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. I am not Scotty DeYoung. I'm Ryan Dugan filling in for Scotty DeYoung, and with me, as always, is I would call him a legend in the area for sure, Sean Neested. How's it going?
A legend where I'm at tonight, and that's the basement of my house. That's about as far as it extends. But Ryan, thank you. So good to be here with you again this week. I think Scotty's got some other business going on. We'll talk about that later, what I think he's up to tonight. He claims to be working on his race car. I think he's got other business going on. But nonetheless, I'm sure they have the feed on in the shop tonight. And we're excited to be here because we're going to be at a really interesting racetrack tonight. The USA International Speedway down there, Lakeland, Florida, is the location of this racetrack. And I really think we have one of our best shows ahead. And that is saying a lot after the last few weeks of racing we have had with the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction.
Yes, and speaking of that last week, how can they top that? The street stocks at Volusia last week, I think, was probably our best show to yet. 4 different winners in the past 4 weeks. We've had 360s, late models, and street stocks at different tracks, only repeating Volusia twice the past 2 weeks, but 4 different winners. What are we going to see this week?
You know, I'm going to be really honest, Ryan. When we started the first event for the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction, it was 360 sprints at the Knoxville Raceway. And that night, Travis Shores, he dominated the late portions of that feature. And I thought after week 1, I'm like, oh boy, how many weeks is Trav going to win? What is this going to look like when we get to week 5? How dominant is he going to be? And then we got to week 2, and we went to Charlotte, we ran the late models, and Tyler Johnson goes to victory lane, and it's like, okay, well, that's a nice change, but we'll see how, those other guys that did so well in the sprint cars do when we go back to the sprint cars the next week at Volusia. Week 3, we go to Volusia, we're running the 360 sprint cars. Nate Barger dominates most of that race. At the end, it's Dylan Werkman who comes in, gets his first win of the year, and suddenly it's like, okay, this series is really legit. We're 3 races in, 3 different winners, and we've got a couple repetitive drivers on the podium, but not that much repetition. And then we go to week 4, Tanner Koster goes to victory lane in the street stocks at Volusia. It becomes a 4th different winner in as many races, which brings us to tonight. Ryan, we come into a lot of these events, we talk beforehand, we talk all through the night. Who's the driver to watch? Who is the odds-on favorite? Coming into this event with just, 13 minutes left of practice here before we go into time trials, I can't say there is a favorite coming into tonight's program.
Everyone's just been on their game or consistent or have bad luck or have great luck. It's just been all over the place the past 4 weeks, and to see a couple of people hit the podium. I believe Tanner Koster has hit the podium twice, at least, I think. And correct me if I'm wrong there, but winning last week has got to have put him up higher in the standings for sure, giving him a boost.
Yeah.
And now we see all these different drivers coming in, and the times are pretty consistent in the top 11 so far between them all coming into USA International Speedway.
Ryan, you alluded there to podium finishes in last week's A-Main winner, Tanner Koster. Tanner was on the podium at week 1 and week 3. That's Knoxville and Volusia in the 360s, finishing 3rd at both those events. And then he picks up the win last week. But just by how close this series is, Tanner has only been out of the top 3 one night this year, but he sits number 4 in the point standings. One event can really change things in the point standings, and there is $1,000, a little more than that, on the line for the top 10 in points plus perfect attendance drivers when we conclude this with our final event on June 17th. So there's a lot to talk about in those point standings. Looking at the update coming into tonight's program, John Coots, we will see him in the number 13 car, and in fact, he's on the track right now, or sitting on the pit lane, but he is quickest in practice so far this evening with that number 13 car. He is your points leader. Nate Barger, who by all intents and purposes should have been to victory lane by now. He's taken the back row challenge, come up just 2 spots short of picking that up. He sits number 2 in the point standings. We'll see him in his 98. McCaleb Volt sits number 3 in the point standings. And I think if McCaleb starts near the front tonight in that A main, I would almost wager we will see him take that $300 back row challenge tonight from the John Krause IMCA Sprint Car Racing Team. The rest of our top 10 in the points coming into tonight: Tanner Koster, as we mentioned, in 4th, and Travis Shores sits 5th after that win on the opening week. Tyler Johnson, who has a win to his credit, he is 6th. Troy Shores is 7th. Timothy Allerdings is 8th. Don Garrettson Jr. 9th. And Bruce Jones completes the top 10 in points coming into this event for the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction.
I'm messing up the cameras here. Blake's mad at me.
Oh! You know, we really need... maybe sometimes we don't want to see a live look into the world headquarters of AdvantageRacing.tv, but you guys make all the magic happen. I just sit here in my basement with the screen in front of me and call the action. So I've got the easy job compared to what you guys do over there in the world headquarters. Let's talk about tonight's format as you get those things set tonight. We will have 4 qualifying heat races. They are 10 laps apiece. Top 3 and finishers from our heat races will transfer directly on to the A main. Prior to those heat races, we will run a brief qualifying time trial session. The top 4 in time for every heat are inverted. So your quick time through our 4 heats sits outside row number 2. For those who do not transfer directly to tonight's Impact Landscape Designs A main, we'll have a pair of B features. Those go 12 laps each. Top 4 from each B feature transfer on to the A. We mentioned that $300 John Krause IMCA Sprint Car Racing Team Back Row Challenge. That will be in effect in tonight's Impact Landscape Designs A feature. We also have some other contingencies like the $10 from Handyman Auto Glass for tonight's A main hard charger, and one of my favorite awards, the Lucky Dog. Pivot Companies bringing that $10 award to a lucky driver who finishes between positions 4 and 18. They'll draw a random number after tonight's A main, and that driver, just by virtue of being the lucky dog, gets the $10 from Pivot Companies. Coming up after tonight's racing, we race again next Wednesday right here on the Advantage Racing TV Facebook page. And next week is one that I think a lot of drivers are either really looking forward to or they just want to get next Wednesday night behind them. We race UMP Modifieds one time in this 10-race series, and it's next Wednesday night. And the track is Lanier. And if you're not familiar with Lanier, when I race it on iRacing, it feels to me a bit like a Huset's. It is a tight little racetrack. It's got a wall, and a lot of times the groove right up there where you're banging the right rear on the wall. That's next week, Wednesday night, right here, 8 o'clock. The broadcast starts on the Advantage Racing TV Facebook page. The following week, back to 360 sprint cars. In fact, after that, it is all sprint cars. 360s at Charlotte, the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Wednesday night, May 27th. Wednesday night, June 3rd, 305 sprint cars, the one and only 305 sprint car race in the 10-race Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Again, that is June 3rd. That event will be held at Volusia, and that track, from what I've seen, puts on great races with that division of cars. And then our final 2 events back into the 360 sprint cars, June 10th, Limaland Motorsports Park, and then back to Lanier, that tight little racetrack that I likened to Huset's. 360 sprint cars there for the season championship for the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. That is Wednesday night, June 17th. And you can find more information about all of these events right there on the Advantage Racing TV Facebook page. Of course, you guys with Advantage Racing TV, you guys are becoming more and more busy as we're seeing more and more racetracks opening up. You've got a season opener on tap this coming Friday night there at the always exciting Rapid Speedway in Rock Rapids, Iowa.
Yes, we are looking forward to Friday for sure. And Blake keeps messaging over here because we found something in the pits, in the virtual pits here. If you look over at Dylan Werkman's car, his crew guys are a little lax, to say the least.
We were talking about that in the practice race last night. They're comfortable, I would say, right? Comfortable?
Yes, comfortable indeed. But as you said, as you alluded to, yes, we are looking forward to Friday for season opener at the Rapid Speedway. 4 weekly classes, with 3 of them being USRA classes, hobby stocks, B-modifieds, and stock cars, joined by the entry-level class of sportsmen. So last year was awesome, and I think I don't know what to expect.
So let's just say I'm a fan right now. I'm watching this on Facebook, trying to get my racing fix, and I just heard, all right, Rapid Speedway opens up this Friday night. I can't wait to put the family in the car and head there like I would on any normal Friday night, given any normal circumstances. I'll hold up a second. A few things we need to talk about for Friday night's show at Rapid Speedway. It's going to be a little different there, Ryan.
Yes, it's going to be a little different. As you are probably all aware, this coronavirus COVID thing is screwing everything up. So the state of Iowa has allowed them to put on competition, but they have not allowed fans. So there's only going to be one way you'll be able to see it, and that's be in a pit crew and race, or go online on our website at advantageracing.tv.
And how handy that is that you guys will be there broadcasting that event. Again, stay safe, stay home, follow the orders that are in place there in Iowa. In fact, I don't believe you're supposed to be on the grounds unless you are working the event with the racetrack, or if you're one of the crew members for one of the teams. So just kick back, relax, get your Advantage Racing TV app, Roku. I've got it on my Fire Stick. Or kick back, watch it on your phone. It is so convenient, so easy, and you'll get to watch the season opener this Friday night, Rapid Speedway from Rock Rapids, Iowa. So good that you guys are there. Always a great broadcast when Advantage Racing TV is on site. So we are looking forward to watching that one here Friday night. And I'm sure you guys are itching to get back to the track. Although you guys had a cold one, but you were there in person for the event this past Sunday. Little church in the dirt, as PJ Pedersen would put it. South Dakota style down there at the new Raceway Park. Great show down there this past week with the Tri-State Late Models. The repairablevehicles.com Tri-State Late Models.
Yes, the repairablevehicles.com Tri-State Late Models did put on an awesome show. Great racing through all the 5 classes of IMCA action, too, with 3 to 4 wide, door-to-door action, close racing. And in the repairablevehicles.com Tri-State Late Models, there was some heartbreak, too, as a bunch of cars wadded up in Turn 1.
Yeah, tough break there for one of the series front runners, Nate Bienhoff, Rowdy, Rock Rapids, Iowa. Boy, something just breaking there on the right front as he come off of turn number 4. That track's so tight, so fast. Things happen so quickly. That's why they call it the action track. And boy, a lot of drivers with nowhere to go. We saw one driver upside down. Everyone was okay. We've got some damaged race cars, some cars I know already going to the chassis shops to get on the jigs and get straightened out this week. But again, everybody okay. And in the end, the racing was phenomenal for that 25-lapper there this past Sunday night.
Yes, it was. And lap traffic almost played a factor in getting the Zeitner and Zeitner show closer together. But there was some good hard chargers through the field. The 6th car, I forget his name, unfortunately. I think he went from
Skyberg.
Casey Skyberg, yes, Casey Skyberg. I think he went from 19th to 3rd.
Yeah, the very, very fast runner out of Rapid City, South Dakota, was over in Iowa racing on Saturday. And, well, when you're 700 miles away from home or whatever it totaled out to be for him, why not stop at another racetrack on your way home? And it just so penciled out perfectly for him to take part in Sunday night's event down at the new Raceway Park. So you guys have a couple of races this coming weekend to be broadcasting. Looking forward to those. And if you're not from the area and your racetracks are opening, we would encourage you, get out there, support the racetracks that we can. more important than ever to be supporting our local dirt tracks. So if you're watching tonight in our area, support our local tracks. If you're watching tonight from New York, for example, go to your local racetracks as you can and be safe out there as well. Wash your hands, keep a little distance. I think I'm going to venture out this week, Ryan. I'm going to make my first actual appearance at some racetracks this weekend. Got some of that Tri-State Late Model Series action I'm going to head to this weekend. A couple of tracks with no fans or limited fans, so I can keep my distance from folks too, with all that I need to do for social distancing to keep my health. So looking forward to actually being at the racetrack. I've loved your guys' broadcast, but I can't wait to get to the racetrack myself this weekend.
Yes, there's nothing compared to being live at the track in person. We've always said it, and that's our business model is you come out to the track, but if you can't, that's what we're there for. And boy, I have never seen such a situation like this where pretty much it's the only way you could see it. None of us could have ever expected this.
No, and thank goodness that everything is here and in place, and we can do this with the racing the way it is here in 2020. Think if this would have hit 10, 15 years ago, none of us would have seen a race at this point. So thank goodness for services like Advantage Racing TV, for all of that they are doing for local racing and racing around the entire United States at this point. Ryan, I see some changes out there on the racetrack. It's one of my favorite times of the night with this Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Time for qualifying time trials. 40 drivers ready to hit the track over the next 3 minutes of time, trying to set time on the clock here tonight. Times are going to come in, as always, fast and furious. And also, as you watch out here on the racetrack, you're going to notice they just reworked the racetrack. It was completely dusted off. Dry, slick, bottom to top. The racetrack now is back where it's going to be until we get to tonight's A-Main when they'll rework the track. So a lot of grip for these drivers out there trying to set quick time. Each of them gets 2 circuits around the 3/4 mile in length USA International Speedway.
2 laps of qualifying, and yes, as you put it, they reworked the track. Those virtual track prep crew got done fast, and now they're putting down some hot lap times. The fresh surface is probably the fastest we're going to see these cars out there for now.
Oh, absolutely. As right now, it looks like Connor Hamilton is on top of the charts. The 03 or the 3 car fast lap, 19.16. Trey Thiesenvitz, second quick right now at a 19.21. Shane Lewis, a 19.22. A 19.28 for Anthony Anderson. Tanner Koster, last week's winner, a 19.33. Sits 5th quick, just like that. Troy Shores just bumped up to the 4th spot with his 12 car at a 19.27. And quick time! Nate Barger in the 98 goes to the top of the charts, a 19.15. And he's beat Michaela Volts to the top, a 19.14. Official time for Michaela Volts, 19.135. They are flying right now. Oh, it changes. Nate Barger to the top, a 19.102. Nate Barger better in his second lap. He is now quick time on the speedway. We'll see what Michaela Volts can do on his second lap in his number 23 car out there on the racetrack. We'll see. Looks like he has concluded his time trial run. So he's at second quick at a 19.135. John Coots just put in a 5th fast effort, a 19.178. Boy, it happens quick here in time trials on iRacing. I love it. And by the way, our car count has increased. We're up to 43 cars for tonight's competition.
Tonight's competition, 43 cars, and no lift. Nate Barger living up to his nickname there. Setting quick time with a 19.102, as you said, followed by Michaela Volts, just 300s behind him. Looking forward to seeing some heat race action start up here very shortly as we're wrapping up lone qualifying sessions.
PJ Pedersen checking in with us tonight. And PJ, yes, I will be at your home track on Friday night. I won't be in the booth, however. I'll talk to you about that later. I'm still avoiding people, but I will be there working with the Tri-State Late Models. Looking forward to a little different duty this coming Friday. Jake's Custom Rods presents heat race number 1. 10 laps the distance. Top 3 go to the A-Main. And Ryan, if you don't mind, I'll give us a starting lineup here for heat race number 1. It'll be Kyle Rose. All right, Kyle Roseboom in the 42 sits on the pole position. To his right will be Austin Opdahl in the number 20. Your points leader sits inside row number 2. That's the number 13 of John Coots. And starting fourth on the grid out of Madison, South Dakota in the number 98, it is No Lift Nate Barger. Third row, he's got a feature win in this series. It's the number 1, Travis Shores inside, outside, out of Wagner, South Dakota, Luke Yanez in the 76. Fourth row, Mitch Lupkis, car number 6 on the inside. Trevor Schnee in the 20 will sit outside. Row number 5, Brandon Grilly in the number 2 inside. Jordan Opdahl sits in the 10th starting spot. And coming off the back in the 08 will be Trey Welch. Those 11 cars, again, 10 laps in heat race number 1, brought to us by Jake's Custom Rods. And by the way, one of our drivers who finished in the top 10 in points this during this series will have the opportunity to pick up a brand new custom Jake's Custom Rods. That's at a value of about $100. So a pretty cool prize there for somebody who finishes in the top 10. It could go to the point champion if they so elect. Anyone has the opportunity. If not, it'll go to 8th, 9th, somewhere in there. But if, let's say, you finish 3rd and you say, I want that fishing pole from Jake's Custom Rods instead of the cash I am owed, you can trade it in and take that $100 value Jake's Custom Rods fishing pole.
Yes, some unique options for prizes here. Sorry, a little stumbled up.
You're
watching
still,
Blake.
let's be honest, you are still frozen from this past Sunday night. And, you know, Jake's Custom Rods, it's an ice fishing rod, and you guys probably felt like you were out ice fishing this past. You know what? No, you're in an ice shack when you go ice fishing. If you're like me, it's about 80 degrees in the shack when you're ice fishing. So you guys were far more cold this past Sunday night than if you were a person like me going ice fishing.
Oh, yes, it was very, very cold for me. I can't say the same for Blake and Tano. They were hanging out in the bus. So
it was a nice balmy 78 degrees in the bus. I don't know what you're complaining about, but I actually had to take my sweatshirt off. I was getting a little warm.
And now he's just bragging about it. Ryan, you and PJ and Scotty, there was one thing we could say for certain about Scotty this past Sunday down there at Raceway Park with the cold and the wind. There was nothing about him that was too hotty. That is for sure this past Sunday.
Ain't nothing too hotty out at that time, but I think we're 1 lap to green here coming out of turn 4. Pace truck looks like he's going to pull in. We're going to come to the green flag, and here we go for heat race number 1, brought to you by Jake's Custom Rods.
Immediately, it's Kyle Roseboom from that pole position. He'll lead him through the first set of turns. Coming along the outside, though, Austin Opdahl in the 20 will lead him down the back straightaway, bringing with him the number 98 of Nate Barger. Barger runs in position number 2. Kyle Roseboom into 3rd and final transfer spot. Catfishing on the bottom. Travis Shores. Luke Yanez gets around him. Here comes Barger right there on the tail tank of Opdahl as they work through turn number 2.
Barger right there on the tail tank as he looks for a way to get around him. Dives down to the bottom, looks to put a slide jack, going crossover, Opdahl back to the top spot.
Boy, some close action here early in the Jake's Custom Rods heat race number 1. Now working the bottom of the racetrack, Kyle Roseboom in the number 42, but John Coots around the outside of him. Your points leader now holds the final transfer spot as they race back to turn number 3. Barger to the bottom, slide job, but back to the point goes Austin Opdahl in the 20.
No lift, Nate Barger trying all he can do to get around Austin Opdahl, and Austin Opdahl just trying to hold him off. He's coming down to lap number 5 coming into turn number 3. Lap 5 will come around next time by as we ride along with Nate Barger trying to find his way around the 20 of Austin Opdahl.
Opdahl has a bit of an advantage, just under a 10th and a half as they now work off of turn number 2. Then a couple of car links back to 3rd place running. John Coots, Kyle Roseboom, and Luke Yanez continue in the top 5. Barger making his move to the bottom, couldn't clear the 20 of Austin Opdahl. Austin Opdahl, who has been more and more impressive week after week, continues to lead in Jake's Custom Rods heat race number 1. That attempted slide job allowed the number 13 of John Coots to come right onto the tail tank of the top 2.
I was going to say, let's not count out John Coots. The top 3 have broken away from we got trouble out of turn 4.
Looks like Kyle Roseboom had trouble. As back up front, we've got a battle for the lead. slide job, crossover, side by side down the straightaway and back to turn number 3. Opdahl's going to have to go to the bottom. He puts the slider mode engaged. Contact in turn number 4, and Nate Barger goes upside down. Austin Opdahl will lead Coots, and now Luke Yanez in the 76 has a final transfer spot as a 41 of Jordan Opdahl got over the cushion and into the wall.
What a heartbreak for Nate Barger as they came out of that corner. And a slide job gone awry, but Austin Opdahl holds the top spot. John Coots in second. Luke Yanez holding off that final transfer spot with Travis Schurz chasing him down. Can he make his way into the final transfer spot to make the A right off the bat?
Not much time left in the Jake's Custom Rods heat race number 1, and shocking to see Travis Schurz outside of a transfer spot. Luke Yanez, relatively newcomer to the iRacing scene, has that final transfer spot as we go into the last lap. Here comes that slider for the position. Schurz sliding up. Yanez not lifting on the top of the racetrack. They will go down the straightaway. Norris with a slight advantage. Yanez on the cushion. Final set of turns, they come to the checkered. It's Opdahl, Coots, and Travis Schurz getting the transfer spots to tonight's A.
Transferring to the A after that great heat race presented by Jake's Custom Rods. Austin Opdahl with the win. John Coots in second, and the final transfer spot goes to Travis Schurz in the 1.
Great race there. Heat race number 1 brought to us by Jake's Custom Rods. We'll go to the Volts Concrete Construction heat race number 2. Ryan, let's take a look at that starting grid.
Yes, on the pole, we got Tony Rustad in the 222. Outside of him on the front row is a 97 of your winner last week, Tanner Koster. Inside row number 2 is a 53 of Trey Thiesenvitz, and outside of him is Ice Cold Michaela Volts in the 23. Position number 5 is 02 of Michael Riddell, and outside of him in position 6 is the 10 of Bret Nielsen. In 7th, we find the 57 of Kevin Plagman, with Alex Schriever to his outside in the 00. The number 15 of Bob Bestman rolls off P9 with Brian Hoying on his outside in P10. Shotgun on the field in the 16 is Austin Hahn.
That is your starting lineup. Volts Concrete Construction brings us heat race number 2, top 10, or 10 laps again, top 3 go directly to tonight's Impact Landscape Designs 35-lap A main. Ryan, we've reached that point of the night. I want to thank everyone who has tuned in on the Advantage Racing TV Facebook page, or whatever page you happen to be tuned in on, as we are all over the Facebook world right now. But we need the fans to do something for us. Just take a moment, whatever feed you're on, give it a like, and then once you do that like thing, just give it a quick share. Let all of your other friends know you're watching racing on a Wednesday night, and it's cold and crummy outside here in South Dakota tonight, and in your location in Iowa tonight, Ryan, it's cold and crummy, and I wish it would just rain and get it out of its system if it's going to rain. But we're watching racing right now, Lakeland, Florida, where the official iRacing temperature is 75 degrees with a north wind at 2 miles an hour. So let's all just enjoy that. But give us a like, give us a share, tell your friends you're watching racing from the comfort of your home here tonight with Advantage Racing TV doing the production work.
That's the great thing about this iRacing is you don't get rained out. So it looks like we're going to have 1 lap to go to the green here. And Tony Rustad will lead us off with Tanner Koster to his outside on the front row.
Well, if you do get rained out doing iRacing, you have a major problem in your house. You're probably going to need some concrete work done. You're going to have some foundation issues. You're probably going to need a new sidewalk. And you're going to need to call Volts Concrete Construction, who brings us heat race number 2, and they come to the green.
Green flag is out, and a little bit of a start from Tony Rustad, and Tanner Koster hits the high side. Trey Thiesenvitz put a slider on Michaela Volts going through the corners, cross back over, side by side down the backstretch.
Rustad in his Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Series debut leads him about trouble back there. Looked like Thiesenvitz got in the wall as Tanner Koster will lead down the straightaway. And here comes Ice Cold Michelob with a slider for position number 2, and he'll have it off of the second turn.
Michaela Volts takes that third position, or as my scoreboard isn't set up right now. It might refresh here at the line, but he takes over the position from Rustad, who is now being hunted by Bret Nielsen there in the 10.
Nielsen will work a lower line off of turn number 2. Can't get it down off of that corner. Rustad looking strong. He is also a relative newcomer to the iRacing scene. He works through the middle. Took a peek to the inside of Bolts. Bolts still running second. Rustad in third. Bret Nielsen, Kevin Flegman completing the top 5. All behind your race leader, the 97 of Tanner Koster.
Tanner Koster has just left them in the dust so far, as he's got a 1 second lead coming down into the front straightaway there. But Bret Nielsen's looking to the inside of Tony Rustad, got a little loose and lost a little ground, but he's charging, trying to make it up into that transfer spot.
Not a lot of banking on this USA Raceway. Very easy to spin the tires, especially at the exit of the corners. This track has some other characteristics we'll talk about as it continues to slick off, but these drivers are going to have their hands full tonight as we watch the battle for third. Tony Rustad has it, but closing quickly is Bret Nielsen in that Monster Energy number 10, and not far behind them, Kevin Flegman in the Quaker State 57.
On board right now with Bret Nielsen as he tries to find his way around Rustad, riding right in his tracks right now, right off his tail tank, but he's trying to find his way around running the high side. Let's see if he makes the slider as Rustad gets a little high onto the cushion coming off of turn 2.
Sometimes getting a little bit up in that cushion can give you a great drive off the corner here as Rustad has closed in on the 23 of Michaela Bolts, who runs in that second spot. We know Michaela likes to cut it close with fuel. We saw him run the bottom for a few laps as here comes that battle for the final transfer spot. The 10 of Nielsen working the bottom. Rustad spins the tires off, and here comes the 57 of Kevin Flegman. 3 cars battling, starting the battle for that final transfer spot. So far, it still belongs to Tony Rustad.
2 laps to go, and we have 3 cars battling for the third place spot. 3 cars make the feature straight off the heat race. So if you miss this, you're going to hit a B, but 3 cars battling for that third place spot.
Pipestone, Minnesota's Tony Rustad brings them off of turn number 4. They look at the white flag, but to the inside goes the 10 of Bret Nielsen. Slide job for the spot. No! Around the outside comes Rustad. Nielsen gets it a little loose off of turn number 2. Into the final set of turns. Koster's going to win this one. Bolts is going to finish second. And the final transfer spot will go to the triple deuce of Tony Rustad.
Tony Rustad holding off a hard charge in Bret Nielsen and Kevin Flegman, but Tanner Koster setting the pace out there, takes the win in heat race number 2, brought to you by Volts Concrete Construction.
Heat race number 3 into the staging area. This is the starting lineup for the Rapid Speedway Heat Race 3 tonight for the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Starting on the pole, piloting the number 19, it's Timothy Allerdings, who sits number 8 in the point standings, and the number 10 driver in the point standings outside the front row, it's the number 17 of Bruce Jones. Row number 2 on the inside, the 25, is piloted by Shane Lewis. Connor Hamilton in the number 3 outside of him. Third row has Christopher Murray on the inside, the number 55. Peyton Seitz, he's got a new sponsor on that car if you look closely. The 325 starts outside row number 3. Row 4, Corey Klumper in his SMSU-backed number 88, and Dylan Sampson in the 37. The fifth row, the 1J, Matt Jaretowski will line up on the inside. Outside of Towski is the number 8 of Skylar Devaney, and Michael Rhodes in the 70, scheduled to complete the starting lineup. Heat race number 3 brought to us by Rapid Speedway, Northwest Iowa's action track located in Rock Rapids, Iowa. Opening this Friday night. Watch all the action live on AdvantageRacing.tv. No fans in the stands, but plenty of action, and it will all be on AdvantageRacing.tv. That's this Friday night. Learn more, rockrapidspeedway.com.
Yes, indeed. Looking forward to a great night of racing action on Friday and Sunday this weekend. At the Rapid Speedway on Friday, the Raceway Park on Sunday. Season opener for the Rapid Speedway. USRA Hobby Stocks, B-Modified Stock Cars, and the Sportsmen will all battle it out on the banked dirt in Rock Rapids.
Love that racetrack. Going to be a little bit odd without the fans in the stands down there. The oldest covered grandstands in Iowa. memory serves me correctly, maybe the second oldest covered grandstands in Iowa. Hey, I want to take a quick look here on camera 3, TV3, on the number 3 of Connor Hamilton. If you can see that Lake County Speedway logo. I don't know if you caught that, Ryan. Did you guys see that on the wing?
He's going for it right now. I think it's on the outside there.
Yeah, it's on the right side. We'll see it at some point here. I designed that logo like, I don't know, 20 years ago. So when I saw that on Connor's car last night, I was like, hey, that's cool. And I guarantee you, they had no idea that just sitting in the Houston's office one day, we needed a logo for Lake County all of a sudden. And so I took like 4 minutes and made that. But I just thought that was really cool. It took me on a stroll down memory lane. And this past weekend, with nothing to do, I was out on a drive. I took my son, Hayden. We went out and we parked on the gravel road and took a look at the old Lake County Speedway. So pretty cool. Set to go. Rapid Speedway, still in action this Friday night, bringing us this heat race. And immediately it's Timothy Allerdings putting it to the floor, and he'll lead them through turns 1 and 2. Shane Lewis, Bruce Jones, side by side for that second spot given to Lewis.
Shane Lewis actually going after the lead as he goes for a slide job into turn number 3 right in front of Timothy Allerdings, but Allerdings hits the high side, little loose coming out of the corner, side by side down the straightaway.
Oh, it is a close one with the top 3 drivers all working off of it. Turn number 2. We got the top 4 drivers all right there as Bruce Jones is in the mix. Again, top 3 transfer directly to the A main. Jones through the middle, finding it a little different groove as Lewis worked the bottom. Side by side for the race lead. Timothy Allerdings has it, but got the wheels loose down the straightaway. Here comes Lewis, another 3 wide for the race lead. Lewis is going to go from the lead to 4th. In just a quarter of a lap, and now 4 cars battling for the lead in turns number 3. That was turn 3.
I'm getting lost on where we are, but all I know is throw a blanket over the top 4, because we got 4 cars battling for 3 spots, one of which will get you the heat race win in Rapid Speedway heat number 3. Oh, geez, this battle is just going nuts. Timothy Allerdings on the high side with Connor Hamilton right behind him. Shane Lewis on the bottom trying to find his way up to the front.
And he does with a slide job now off of turn number 2. Then gets the car loose, gives up the lead, and he's going to fall back to at least 4th, 5th, 6th. From the lead to 6th in a quarter of a lap. Now out front, the number 19, Timothy Allerdings, followed by the 3 of Connor Hamilton. They put a little bit of space between third place running Bruce Jones and Skylar Devaney and Christopher Murray now battling for position. They tag and start to spin over there in the corner. Oh, it gets chaotic here in the second half of this Rapid Speedway heat race. Connor Hamilton slide job for the lead. No, says Timothy Allerdings.
So after a great start to this heat race, now it seems to be a little bit more strung out as Timothy Allerdings holds on to the top spot, but Connor Hamilton's not going to let him go just yet. We got 4 laps to go, and we're on board with Connor Hamilton trying to chase him down.
Not far behind Hamilton is Bruce Jones in the final transfer spot. Shane Lewis back there in position number 4. Hamilton and Jones both ran their fastest laps of the race on that last lap. So the track getting quicker here in Rapid Speedway heat race number 3. Slide job, Allerdings goes down, now gets in the slick. Hamilton will lead. Allerdings in second, and here comes that 17 of Bruce Jones to the bottom. He looks to stick the bottom and not throw the slide job. Allerdings back around the top. Down the back straightaway they go and into turn number 3.
Bruce Jones trying to battle for that second position to get a little buffer room between him and the last transfer spot. Connor Hamilton just hit that high side and went right around Allerdings as Allerdings trying to hold off Bruce Jones, keep that second spot.
White flag flies for Connor Hamilton. In to the third turn he will go on this final lap. It's been a good one. Allerdings a little bit loose there off of the corner. Checkered flag flies. Connor Hamilton, Timothy Allerdings, Bruce Jones, the transfers from Rapid Speedway heat race number 3. Ryan, wow, what a race we just watched right there. We've got one more heat race to come our way here tonight. It is the Oconowash Laundromat heat race number 4. And I honestly don't remember if this is my heat race to talk about. This has been an exciting night, and we're just at heat race
It
number
has
4.
been.
All right, starting lineup for the Econowash Laundromat heat race number 4 goes like this. Starting on the pole position is the number 54. That's Lance Ripka, and outside the front row. A feature winner on the series at the Charlotte Dirt Track with the late models. That's Tyler Johnson in his Spider-Man Mopar number 5. Row 2, the 63 of Anthony Anderson is inside. Troy Shores in the number 12. He'll sit outside. Third row, it's Dylan Workman, the 75. He's got a feature win this season on the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. That was at the Volusia Speedway in 360 sprints. He starts 5th. Ollie Delphs at the 33. He'll start outside row number 3. Row 4, Ryan McCarty in the 111, and Caleb Johnson, his car will say 22 on it. He'll start outside row number 8. Justin Hammond in the 253 will start in the 9th row with stepdad Chris Schrum outside of him. So a little family affair there in row number 5. And Alec Matea will complete the starting grid, going from position number 11, driving Dylan Peterson's rig tonight. That is the starting grid. Econowash Laundromat brings us heat race number 4, the final 10-lap affair here tonight, and the final 3 transfer spots up for grabs into tonight's Impact Landscape Designs A-Main.
3 heat races down and only 3 spots remain. The Econowash Laundromat heat race number 4 looks to settle that final 3 transfer spots before we go to our 2B features.
Looking forward to this one, as these other heat races have just been dynamic here tonight, and expect to see a lot more of the same in this 4th heat race as the track continues to slick off. That cushion gets more and more narrow up there on the top of this USA Speedway. If you're trying to compare this to a track that we may know in our area, think about like the old Jackson half mile, just a little more corner and a little flatter corners. But it races a lot like that. You've got enough straightaway here on this racetrack. If it were real, like the old Jackson, you could eat a cheeseburger going down the straightaways and have it finished by the time you exit turn 2 to get to turn number 3. Long straightaways, fast, tight corners. We're green on heat race number 4, brought to us by Econowash Laundromat.
Lance Ripka rips it into turn number 1, sets the pace as Tyler Johnson's going to chase him down. And we got Troy Shores splitting the difference, makes it for a 3rd, going for 2nd.
Ripka had a little trouble there off of the 2nd turn, slipped from the lead back to the 6th spot. That's how close the competition is here with the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Dylan Workman started in the 3rd row. He has wheeled the 75 up to the 3rd spot. Oh, he's got 5J on the car this week as he, right there on the tail tank up to 12 of Troy Shores. Tyler Johnson leads out front in the number 5 ride as they were 3 wide deeper in the field. The car getting out of shape. It was the 33 of Oliver Delphs. He was able to collect it up. Now working the bottom of the racetrack is Caleb Johnson. Caleb out of Sioux Falls, a regular at the Jackson Motorplex, now looking very good. He's got the 22 car hooked up on the bottom of the speedway, battling with Anthony Anderson for position number 4.
Meanwhile, Tyler Johnson setting a torrent pace, a half a second ahead of Troy Shores, who is well out. Dylan Workman might be working his way to catch him, though, as we got... they're actually catching each other. We may actually have a battle up here for the top 3 as they have split themselves away from the rest of the pack.
That they have, as those drivers continue to bunch up just a little bit. From Johnson, it is 3/10 and then another 3/10 back to Workman. Shores working the bottom line, as is Dylan Workman, your leader. The 5 of Tyler Johnson continuing to pound the cushion. Shores was right there for a moment. He looks to the inside. Keep in mind that top line, all sorts of momentum. That bottom groove, you've got to be so patient on a racetrack with straightaways like this. Shores works the bottom. He has the lead, but will it stick? Off of turn number 4 they come. Johnson, pedal to the metal, but it's Troy Shores, your new leader, making that bottom groove work around the USA Speedway.
Shores finding something on the bottom side of the racetrack while Tyler Johnson's trying to knock down the wall. Dylan Workman sitting there in the 3rd spot. Maybe he's going to try and make his way around Johnson as he hits the bottom, trying to find what... Oh, trouble!
Lap car with trouble. Troy Shores gets into the 7 of Chris Schrum, and Shore is going to get it pointed in the right direction, but he has fallen to the 7th spot on the running order from the lead. So now Tyler Johnson, Dylan Werkman, and Caleb Johnson into a transfer spot.
Heartbreak for Troy Schurz with a lap car, 2 laps to go, but now we find ourselves with Tyler Johnson, Dylan Werkman, and Caleb Johnson getting the lucky break out of that one to get the final transfer spot as we come down the backstretch, coming to 1 to go this time by.
That's just under a lap and a half, and that transfer spot up for grabs. Caleb Johnson works through the middle. Here comes at 63 into the wall, then a right rear slap. Anthony Anderson couldn't quite get there. The door closed, and now Caleb Johnson has that spot. Meanwhile, we race for the lead. Tyler Johnson, 2 corners to navigate. They go to turn number 3, but Dylan Werkman dips to the bottom. Final set of turns, they come to the checkered flag. It's Dylan Werkman picking up the win. Tyler Johnson and Caleb Johnson, your 3 transfers from the Econowash Laundromat Heat Race number 4.
That finish I was not expecting after seeing how fast Troy Schurz was going, but hitting that lap traffic, unfortunate heartbreak there. Dylan Werkman was able to get down on the bottom, found what Troy Schurz found, got around Tyler Johnson on the inside, and Caleb Johnson getting the lucky break and finalizing the top 3 in the heat race number 4.
Yeah, already on the grid, our first of 2 last chance showdowns, 12 laps, top 4 transfer into the A main. Here's the starting lineup for Last Chance Showdown number 1. On the pole, 76, Luke Yanez, and outside, Shane Lewis in the 25. Row number 2, the 6 of Mitch Lupkis and Skylar Devaney in the number 8. Third row has Brandon Grilly inside, outside, Christopher Murray in the 55. Trevor Schnee, the 20, he'll line up 7th, and outside, row number 4 is Corey Klumper in car number 88. 5th row, Trey Welch, the 08 inside, Peyton Seitz, the 325, starting outside in position number 10. Row number 6, 37, Dylan Sampson, and 41 of Jordan Opdahl. Row number 8 has Nate Barger. Keep an eye on that 98 machine, and the 14 of Matt Jaratowski. That is row number 7, and row 8, Kyle Roseboom in the 42, and 70 of Michael Rhodes. So some drivers we need to take note of in this one, Ryan. Starting deep in the field, Nate Barger in row, starting right around that 13th spot, I believe, in the 98 ride. That is going to be a tall order to get to the transfer spot here tonight for the driver who was one of the quickest drivers in qualifying time trials. The 1J of Matt Jaratowski, he is always fast. You see him starting deep in the field. And Kyle Roseboom, who we saw leading one of the heat races, he starts back there in 15th. We're about to see a lot of action here in B feature number 1.
B feature number 1 definitely looks like a stacked field as we got a few big names, as you mentioned, and especially with no lift, Nate Barger sitting in the back. How soon till we see him trying to knock down the door to the transfer spot, do you think?
Boy, I don't know. This track right now is starting to get to its maximum slickness that you can really get on the gas here. That top side of the speedway, that cushion, it is right up there to the wall, and it gets really difficult to drive these cars off of the top of the racetrack, especially turn number 4. You're going to start to see cars hit a hole on the exit on the top side of turn number 4, and then keep your eye on the front straightaways. After the flag stand, this track often develops kind of like a motocross whoop section. It gets very rough on the top of the front straightaway. Green flag ready to come out. 12 laps the distance. B feature number 1 is underway.
Luke Yanez, they're off to the early race lead as we have a gaggle of cars from second on back as we got 3 cars battling for what is the set? Actually 4 to 5 cars battling for that final transfer spot at this point as we come into turn number 3.
Brandon Grilly has the final transfer spot in the Dorito 2. He works the bottom on the top. Shane Lewis coming after that spot in the Buffalo Wild Wings 25. And here comes the 55 of Christopher Murray into that. Murray works the bottom just in front of Schnee. Grilly gets loose off of the corner. And now the 55 of Murray, a newcomer to the group, into that 4th and final transfer spot as they race for the lead up front. Mitch Lupkis and Luke Yanez side by side, right there with Skylar Devaney.
3 cars battling for the top spot as we were on board with Christopher Murray, getting a good look at that battle up front as we got 3 cars side by side. Luke Yanez and the 8 of Skylar Devaney going into turn number 3. I think that's 3 there, sorry. As they battle it out for spot number 2.
Guess who is in a transfer spot? The 98 of Nate Barger from deep in the field has driven his way up to 4th, and he's not done yet. Still plenty of time to go here in B feature number 1 for the number 98 car from deep in the field, working the bottom of the racetrack, looking for the 3rd spot that Skylar Devaney currently possesses.
Found something on the bottom like Troy Schurz did in the last heat race. Nate Barger down to the bottom side, working on Skylar Devaney, going to get the position as he's going to work on the 76 of Luke Giannis, but he's going to look up on the high side.
The bottom definitely looks to be like the place to be right now, with that top getting so hard to hit lap after lap. Barger into position number 2. He has gained 11 positions in this B main. Skylar Devaney and Luke Giannis follow him. Mitch Lupkus is your leader. Again, top 4 transfer. Peyton Seitz is on a charge, though. The 325 has gone +5 in this B main, and he's just 1 spot out of a transfer. He's looking at the 76 of Luke Giannis.
Peyton Seitz down on the bottom side, now going to hit side by side with Luke Giannis going down the straightaway. Going into the next turn, is he going to put the slider on him? We shall see. Peyton Seitz to the bottom, almost hit the inside wall. Now gets the position from the 76 of Luke Giannis, but now look, Kyle Roseboom is also back there hunting for that position.
Roseboom started last on the field. He is up to the 6th spot and working to the inside of Luke Giannis. We are in the final third of this B main number 1. Roseboom to the bottom. Shane Lewis trying to follow him as Peyton Seitz has the final transfer spot. Luke Giannis runs 5th. 6th is Roseboom, who's gone +9, but he's going to need to gain at least 2 more spots from where he stands right now.
Meanwhile, Mitch Lupkus leads Nate Barger, who's a half a second behind him with Skylar Devaney in 3rd, but that battle is on for the 4th and final transfer spot. Kyle Roseboom gets by Luke Giannis. Now he's going to hunt down the 325 of Peyton Seitz with 3 laps to go.
Deep in the field, Jordan Opdahl just had trouble, got upside down. We stay green, and Peyton Seitz hold on. Get this in your front order. Nate Barger has gone +12. He leads. Peyton Seitz +6. He's 4th. And Kyle Roseboom is 5th. He's gone +10. A lot of action here in B main number 1 as we work down the back straightaway. A lap and a half remaining in this one. Kyle Roseboom's going to have to find something if he wants to chase down Peyton Seitz to go to the big dance.
What does he have as we see the white flag? 1 lap to go. 1 position to make if he wants to make it to the A on this B feature. Kyle Roseboom chasing down. Kyle Roseboom chasing down the 325 of Peyton Seitz coming into turn number 3. What does he have?
Oh, he sticks it on the very bottom. He's going to use some of the grass right next to the wall. Down the front straightaway they go, and at the line it goes to... Look to me like Peyton Seitz. We'll see what the timing and scoring says. Or it looked like Kyle Roseboom. That's what scoring says. So it's Nate Barger goes +12. He wins. Mitch Lupkus, Skylar Devaney, and Kyle Roseboom goes +11 to go on to the A main here tonight. Wow, what a first B feature, Ryan. Mr. Dugan, let's take a look at that starting grid for B main number 2.
Let's take a look at that. How are we going to top this? I keep saying that, but I guarantee they're probably going to top it. On the pole of B feature number 2 is the 10 of Bret Nielsen. To his outside, we will see the 63 of Anthony Anderson. Position number 3 is going to be that 57 of Kevin Plegman. To his outside is the 111 of Ryan McCarty. Number 5 will be the 00 Top Shelf Racing Podcast sponsored number 00 of Alex Schriever with Troy Schurz. Tough luck in his heat race. In position number 6 on the outside. Inside of the next row is Austin Hahn with the 253 of Justin Hammond to his outside. In position number 9 is a 132 of Brian Hoying with Chris Schrum in position number 10 on the outside. Next row back, we find the 15 of Bob Bessman with Alec Matea to his outside in the 43. Trey Thiesewitz in the B feature here, deep in the B feature, position number 13 with Oliver Delfs to his outside. Michael Riddell in the final row on the inside with Lance Ripka rounding out the field in the outside of the final row.
Ryan, it's hard to believe we started with the Jack's Custom Rods, heat race number 1, not that long ago, and here we are already in B feature number 2. Final 4 spots in tonight's 20-car field in the 35-lap A main up for grabs at the end of this 12-lapper. Action all around from the start of tonight. Again, we thank everybody for tuning in as we get set for B feature number 2 for tonight's action. Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction each and every Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Central Time. You can watch on the Advantage Racing TV Facebook page or whatever page you may be tuned in on. Again, give us a like. If you're on the Advantage Racing, give it a comment. We'll try and catch some of those here when we have a little break between the B and the A, and I mean a really little break. And we'd love to know where you're watching from tonight as well. So let us know, and we'll try to check some of that out here at the conclusion of this one. Obviously, Ryan, we're not taking our eyes off the track for one moment when the green flag is out here tonight.
No, we will not be. As the lights are going to go out, we are going to come to the green this coming time around. We're going into turn number 3. We got Bret Nielsen and Anthony Anderson on the front row.
That pace picks up. Pace truck on the infield. We're ready to go. Bret Nielsen will lead him down the straightaway to turn number 1. Kevin Blakeman grabs that second spot. Rewind for the position behind that, and Troy Shores is having a bad night with his number 12. He just got caught up in a whole bunch, and he's way at the back of this field. There's a little bit of scurrying going on out there as well, back there 3rd, 4th, 5th, as the caution flag waves for the first time tonight here, and it waves in B feature number 2. So early on in this one, I do believe the yellow flag laps are going to count, so they're going to be in a hurry to get back to the green here in B main number 2.
Yes, I think you're right where the caution laps in the B features count. I don't think they count in the A features, but some trouble happened. We didn't catch it on the cameras here. So Troy Shores, you say, is having some bad luck again. Yeah,
if you find Troy, give it a rewind, and you will see he got caught up in a whole bunch of mess, let's call it, there early on here in B feature number 2. Again, if you're in the area, Rapid Speedway this coming Friday night, season opener down there. No fans in the grandstands, but watch everything live at AdvantageRacing.tv. Back here on Facebook page, absolutely free this Wednesday night, next week at this time, for some more Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. And between those two events, Raceway Park this coming Sunday night on AdvantageRacing.tv as well. Mentioned earlier tonight, Tri-State Late Models get their season points underway this coming Friday. Crawford County Speedway in Denison, Iowa, and Park Jefferson Speedway on Saturday. Just a couple of the races in the area that'll be happening this weekend. I-90 Speedway practice day on Saturday, and if that happens to rain out, look for that to move to Sunday before opening up the following weekend. So there you go. There's a rundown of some races in the area. Oh, and by the way, you talked about the Top Shelf Racing podcast, and Austin Lloyd, he's going to be busy this Friday and Saturday with perhaps the biggest sprint car race ever to hit the state of Minnesota. And I mean that in all seriousness, and that even goes over the Jackson Nationals this past couple of years. And you're saying, how is that possible? Well, go to the Jackson Motorplex Facebook page or go to Jackson Motorplex online and take a look at the drivers that will be there this Friday and Saturday for a pay-per-view only event over there. 410 Outlaw Sprint's going to be something to see at Jackson. So, boy, lots of racing around the area. Speaking of racing, back to green, Mr. Dugan as the 10 of Bret Nielsen leads it back down the front chute into turn 1.
As we got trouble then going into turn 1, I didn't quite see who it was that went and wrecked it up, but we got a battle for the lead going down the backstretch with the 57 of Kevin Blakeman taking the lead in front of the 10 of Bret Nielsen.
A car to watch in this one is going to be the 12 of Troy Shores. He runs in the 10th spot, trying to make his way through the field. Now he's got to the 7th position. So coming through the field is Troy Shores.
Yellow.
As the yellow waves once again, but we're already at the halfway point in this one.
I think that was Trey Thiesenfitz with trouble, I believe, going down the backstretch. You could see it a little bit in the back there. Get a little bit loose. I think he got tangled with another car and got spun around.
And that is right now kind of a byproduct of what this racetrack does. It gets so slick at the late stages of its progressions. If you're not familiar with iRacing, let's say you're just watching this on Facebook, you're not an iRacer yourself, you can set a racetrack in an event like this at a percentage of wear. 0 would be a brand new racetrack. The water truck just got off and it's sloppy and muddy. 100, that's the opposite end of the spectrum. It is bone dry and slick. We're nearing that later point. I don't know exactly what this number would be for this racetrack, probably that 60 to 70% wear. But this racetrack, you've got so much straightaway, you've got so much speed, and then suddenly you're at that corner and there is absolutely no grip, and this gets very, very difficult to navigate. When this track is on, as we've seen tonight, racing, it's phenomenal. But as soon as this racetrack slicks off, it becomes so very difficult to navigate, especially with the horsepower of these 360 sprint cars.
Plenty of horsepower by the 360 sprint cars, and not a whole lot of traction for them to put down. The track is definitely slicked off, like you said, and it is dry. You can see the dust kicking up as they go around the corners here. But Kevin Plegman of the 57 is going to lead us to the green whenever we get around to that position. The 10 of Bret Nielsen in second. Alex Schriever sitting on the inside of the next row back, looking to hold off the 63 and the 132 of Brian Hoying.
When we go back to the green, I believe we'll have 3 laps to go as the caution lights have gone dark here in Lakeland, Florida at USA International Speedway. We will get the green off of turn number 4. That'll be lap number 10, and then we'll have 11, and the white flag will come out for lap number 12. So just 3 laps to go. Not a lot of time. Can Troy Shores continue his march back towards the front to get into tonight's A-main? By the way, Troy, he's the one who sets this race up. He does a lot of the work. He does a lot of the tinkering with track percentages and getting things right through the week leading up to the event. So a cheers to him for all the work he does. Whether or not he gets through this, he's done a ton of work to get us to this point. We're back to green. Plegman out front as deep in that field. Here comes that 12 of Shores trying to charge back into a transfer position.
Speaking of that, here he comes battling side by side with Brian. Trouble with Schriever. They get together, but they straighten it back out. Now we got Brian Hoying is now in that last transfer stop battling it out. Oh, he gets in there with these events.
Yeah, boy, things have changed. I think every car right now is crashing on the racetrack except the top 4. Kevin Plegman, Bret Nielsen, Oliver Delps, and Troy Shores in the transfer spots. Justin Hammond, a distant 5th, as we come to the white flag flying down the front straightaway. And I don't know if you can see it there, Ryan, but this track getting rough. You can see the whole cars bouncing, especially on the front straightaway.
Oh, yes, you see the front ends bouncing up and down as they go down the straightaway. Led by Kevin Plegman as he comes out of turn number 4. He's going to see the checkered flag first. The top 4 will be Kevin Plegman, Bret Nielsen, Oliver Delps, and Troy Shores rounding out your transfer spots for tonight's A feature.
Woo! There was plenty going on in that B-main number 2 as we have put the Jack's Custom Rods heat race number 1, Volts Concrete Construction heat race number 2, Rapid Speedway heat race number 3, and Econo Wash Laundromat heat race number 4 into the books. We've put 2 B-mains into the books, and through all of that, we have qualified 20 of our 43 drivers who assembled here tonight into tonight's Impact Landscape Designs A-main. That is scheduled to grid in 4 minutes and 40 seconds. So, if you need to run to the little boy's room or little girl's room, do that quick. Grab yourself another drink and come back here to wherever it is you're watching. And we will have tonight's A-main in just over 4 minutes. Ryan, again, so good to be here with you tonight. Seeing what we've got here for some people checking in. Jim Werkman's watching tonight, of course. Need to find the comment section here on.
Let's see, you joined.
Yeah, of course. I've got to see it on 2 screens, you know.
Nate Barger driving and watching.
What can't he do? That is the question.
Well, we know he can make the feature.
That he did. Keep in mind when we get to tonight's A-Main here tonight, the Impact Landscape Designs A-Main, we will have that back row challenge. John Kraus IMCA racing team from back in the day, their IMCA sprint car, they've put $300 up each and every week. Whoever takes the front to back challenge to go back to front, and if they do so, they would pick up $300 for starting at the back and picking up the win here tonight. Tonight again, the scene, the 3/4 mile dirt oval known as USA International Speedway. This is actually a real track down in Florida. It's a pavement track. It used to host a lot of the Hooters Pro Cup Series races back in the 90s. And tonight we're on the dirt version live here on iRacing, a AdvantageRacing.tv production here tonight. Ryan, you're making the call here tonight with me. Scotty Tuhati would usually be here. Scotty DeYoung, we know he races a hobby stock, and I know he's listening right now. He told us he was working on his hobby stock tonight, but Ryan, I've just got a sense he's doing something else tonight. Any ideas what you think Mr. DeYoung is up to tonight?
Well, he told us that his friends did a little something, so we might just have to start calling him Reverend Scotty nowadays.
Scotty DeYoung, Scotty Tuhati, or is it minister, ordained minister, Scotty Tuhati? Could we get that on a plaque? That's pretty cool. It sounds like he's going to be marrying some of his friends. So next Wednesday night when he makes the call, do I call him His Holiness? How ordained is he now? And when you guys are on the road, you might have to change some of your ways. I mean, you're going to be traveling with a holy man to all of these races.
Hey, we got someone to do invocations now.
Absolutely. Oh, hey, here we go. Nick Barger putting $100 and 5 cheeseburgers on No Lift Nate Barger from his fan club in the shop if they win. Christian asking how much to sponsor a car. Hey, get in touch with any of these guys. You can sponsor me for about $1 for as good as I am. Let's see, anyone else checking in here tonight that I can say hello to? Hi to everybody who is on here tonight. Had another bonus get passed to me earlier this afternoon.
Ooh, another bonus.
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy Scott, how you doing tonight? Good to see you. All right, here we go. Where is it? Oh, Troy Shores has some bonus money on him or Trav. So here's the bonus for tonight. If Trav and Troy finish on the podium, it's a 12-pack of beer. If Trav, John Coots, and Troy fill the podium, they get a Chislik dinner and beer at the Safari, courtesy of Del Stroud, who we know is watching tonight, former member of the Men's Start Dirt Track Rescue Crew, and watches Wednesday nights religiously. So hello to everyone there at Safari. Hello tonight to Dell, and thanks for your sponsorship, and we'll see if your drivers can pull that one off here tonight. I love this. We get some of the more random bonuses come up in this. Again, we're not taking this as serious as we do when we're at the racetrack. If you wreck something here tonight, unless you spill a beer on your computer, you can't damage $1,000 worth of equipment like you can in the blink of an eye at a racetrack. And sometimes there it's tens of thousands of dollars. But still cool to see everybody from all of these great sponsors, from all of the people that chime in, week out, to help make this the most exciting times we can have on a Wednesday night. That said, Ryan Dugan, it is time for tonight's main event. 35 laps the distance. Impact Landscape Designs brings us the A-Main. Ryan, let's take a look at that starting lineup.
Yes, let's do that indeed. Starting on the last row, we're going to find ourselves in the 20th spot, the 12 of Troy Schurz, with Kyle Roseboom starting 19th.
Starting outside row number 9, it's the 33 of Oliver Delfs, and inside of him, Skylar Devaney in car number 8.
Row number 8, we're going to find the 10 of Bret Nielsen on the outside, with the 6 of Mitch Lupkus starting in 15th.
Row number 7 on the outside, it's Kevin Plagman in the 57, and starting 13th, it's No Lift Nate Barger in car number 98.
Row number 6, we're going to find the 34 of Caleb Johnson on the outside, with The 17 of Bruce Jones rolling off to his inside in P11.
Top 10 starters go like this. On the outside of the fifth row, it's the number 222 of Tony Rusted. And next to him, starting ninth, it's the number 1 of Travis Shores.
Row number 4, starting P8, is the 20 of Austin Opdahl on the outside with last week's winner, 97 Tanner Kosser, rolling P7.
Starting outside row number 3, he drives the number 3. That is Connor Hamilton. And the top 5 starters look like this. Inside the third row, he's got a feature win. It's the 75 of Dylan Werkman.
Row number 2 we find on the outside will be the 13 of John Coots, and inside of him in P3 is the 23 of Ice Cold Michelob, Michaela Bolts.
And your front row tonight goes like this. On the outside in car number 19, it's Timothy Allerdings. And on the pole for this 35-lapper, this driver picked up a win week number 2 at the dirt track at Charlotte. It's the number 5 of Tyler Johnson. And we have a back road challenge accepting driver, dropping to the back, giving up the number 3 starting spot to do so. It will be the number 23 of Michaela Volts. Volts now starts 20th on the field. He's looking for that $300 bonus from the John Kraus IMCA Racing Team if he can win tonight's A-Main.
He's going to have a lot of work ahead of him as the lights go green. Tyler Johnson, Timothy Allerdings start us off in the front row. Michaela Volts taking that back row challenge. Sean, is going to be a good one.
Absolutely. These cars loaded up 28 to 30 gallons of fuel. They're going to be monsters to drive in these opening laps as we're green for week number 5 of the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction.
John Coots on the outside looking like he's going to try and take Timothy Allerdings as we got 4 cars battling it out for the 3rd position.
Things going to be very close here in the early laps. They're 3 wide back there about the 6th position. Tyler Johnson, Timothy Allerdings, John Cooks, the top 3 as we've got stacking up on the front straightaway.
Trouble out on the front straightaway, took a bunch of people out. Nate Barger was involved, but he drove away pretty quickly. As we saw cars bouncing up and down all over the place as they got together. Don't know who all was involved. I did see Nate Barger, and I'm not quite sure who else was involved at that time.
Well, I believe there were several cars involved in this one on the front straightaway. Taking a look here as best I can, Ryan, and boy, there is the 20 of Opdahl, the 98 of Barger, and the 1 of Shores. Those 3 drivers all made some pretty serious contact right there at the flag stand before all scooting away from that area. Taking a look here, see exactly what happened. Looks like maybe Opdahl bounced off the outside wall, come down across the racetrack, out into Barger. Also making some contact there was the 17 of Bruce Jones. Doesn't look like he has too much damage to that race car. A little bit concerned about damage on those other rides. The 98 of Nate Barger, everything looks fine. Got some damage to the front bumper. The 17 of Jones, he's got some front bumper damage. Looking at the 1 of Travis Shores, front nose wings crumpled up a bit on that machine. And Austin Opdahl idling around at the back right now. He was missing a nose wing, so we'll see if these drivers use quick repairs. In fact, Opdahl has already been in and out of the area. Only 1 quick repair in these feature events, so those drivers that went to the pit road there, if they have to go back, they'll spend several minutes there repairing damage, and they could lose several laps on the racetrack.
That they could, but hopefully they can keep their noses clean as they go around here. Yes, it was Austin Opdahl, Nate Barger. We saw the replay just a bit ago go through. A little bit of a tangle there coming down as you described. Nate Barger involved. I don't think he went to the pits unless I'm wrong, which I may be. No,
there's no chance. We will have to see as they get doubled up. 2x2 restarts here tonight, except for some circumstances. We'll address those if we need to. Keep in mind, this track's going to wear out. Keep in mind right now, 35 laps around here, you burn just shy of a gallon of fuel every lap you run on this racetrack. So this is probably as full as the fuel tanks will be all season long. All that weight in the back of these cars on iRacing, they're handfuls to drive at this point in the race. We're back to green. Tyler Johnson brings us back into action, racing down to turn number 1.
Tyler Johnson takes us into turn number 1 as we got the top 3 hitting the high side, but we got, it looks like the 13 of John Coots on the inside of Tanner Koster, and a gaggle of cars behind him as they battle them all for position early on in this feature.
Also seeing Dylan Werkman working at the very bottom of the racetrack, pressuring the 13 of Coots. Here comes Connor Hamilton. Hamilton loves to hustle on the high side, and that's what he is doing right now. With that number 3 wide, he'll get by Werkman for position and comes right there to the tail tank of Koster in the 97.
Right behind Koster in the 97, but Coots diving down to the bottom side. Dylan Werkman also on the bottom as they're side by side right now. John Coots and Connor Hamilton going through the next turn. 3 wide as they look coming out of the corner down the back straightaway.
That was a close one there. Back to turn number 3 they go. Hamilton runs in 4th as Werkman, bottom of the racetrack. The 5J Jamie Ball looking ride tonight for Werkman. On the bottom of the racetrack, was able to get side by side with Hamilton down the front straightaway. That's happening right in front of points leader, the number 13 of John Coots. Down the straightaway they go. We work lap number 6 of 35 for the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction, week number 5.
On board right now with John Coots as he runs right up against the wall, gets by the 75 of Dylan Werkman. I'm not seeing that 5J. I probably need to refresh my trading paints, but Timothy Allerdings gets a little loose, loses ground as Connor Hamilton's going to go around on his outside.
Yeah, tough break there for the driver in the second spot. Maybe it's my trading paints. Who knows? Either way, Werkman still looking very strong here tonight. That 19 of Timothy Allerdings, the 3 of Connor Hamilton. Slide job, Allerdings back around the outside, the 3 wide behind him for that spot. Things starting to get hot and heavy here at the USA Raceway as the 57 of Kevin Plagman, who come out of a B main, runs in the 7th spot and up to 8th as that back row challenge driver, the 23 of Michaela Bolts. A big trouble down the front straightaway, flipping down the pit lane. We remain green.
I think that was Timothy Allerdings who took a wild ride down the pit lane, but we are still green. Tyler Johnson out to a 2.5 lead over Tanner Koster and Dylan Werkman way behind him.
So the 5 of Tyler Johnson looking to run away and hide in this one, but still 25 or so laps to go in this A-main. The track, the cars, all going to go through major transitions here in the next 10 to 15 laps. Johnson, Koster, Coots, Bolts up to the 4th spot, and Connor Hamilton now runs P5. Can Michaela Bolts get his first win of the series and do it in dramatic style from the tail? He's already up to that 4th spot.
He's up to the 4th spot. He wants more, and it's only lap 11 of 35. Now he's in that 4th position. Can he make it up to the top spot as we hit the flag stand for lap number 12?
One thing we know about Michaela Bolts, 2nd place car into the wall. Tanner Koster got into the wall. He loses some ground, but still holds on to the spot just now in front of John Coots. Talked about that cushion. It is so hard to hit perfectly lap after lap after lap on this racetrack. Coots takes a look to the inside of Koster. As we were saying, Bolts yet to win on this series. He could get his first one here tonight. He's got the 4th spot, was just looking for more.
We got Coots to the inside of Koster as Michaela Bolts is running down trying to catch Coots.
Not far behind them. In fact, in the 5th spot is Nate Barger in the 98 car. Side by side for 2nd. Coots works the bottom, Koster on top. The momentum prevails. Coots runs in 3rd. Bolts right behind him in 4th. Still in the top 5 is Connor Hamilton in car number 3. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, all running different lines now as they work off turn 4 and down the front chute.
And we got a gaggle of cars behind them as Plagman is followed behind Connor Hamilton. Nate Barger battling it out behind them, but still the story is the battle between Coots, Koster, and Michaela Bolts. Oh, but Connor Hamilton and Plagman are catching up to that pack.
And speaking of catching, right there with them is that 98 of Barger. Side to side down the straightaway. Coots on the bottom. The 97 of Coster has to go to the top. Coots caught a little bit of that grass. There is a big hole down there on the bottom of the racetrack. Slowed him up just a little bit. Coster prevails in that spot. Michaela Bolt's in fourth, and look, they are catching that pack once again. That's Hamilton into 3, the 57 of Plegman, and the 98 of Barger.
Oh, that battle is hot and heavy between Coots and Michaela Boltz, Tanner Coster. Oh, Coots to the inside of Coster as they come down into the straightaway, but Plegman and Connor Hamilton are hot on the heels of Michaela Boltz.
You can see the groups really working in on the track. The very bottom, the very top of the racetrack. Coster slaps the wall after getting into that run on the outside of turn number 4. Coots looks to the inside. Boltz will try the middle and then dips to the bottom off of turn number 2. All of this is happening 2.1 seconds behind Tyler Johnson, your race leader, continuing to dominate here as we're at the halfway point in tonight's A-Main, brought to us by Impact Landscape Designs.
Cross flags halfway through this feature. Tyler Johnson, will he be the one to double up on the series as we got the inside run by Michaela Boltz? Now he's going to look to the outside. What can Boltz do with Coots here as he looks to the inside coming off of the corner now?
Boy, these tracks, so hard to hold the cushion and so hard to hold the bottom. Here comes Nate Barger. He gets to the inside of Kevin Plegman. They race for that spot. Nate Barger, after early race troubles, into position number 6. As we say that, Plegman battles back around the high side. So here's the field rundown. Tyler Johnson, Tanner Coster, John Coots, Michaela Boltz, Connor Hamilton, the top 5. Plegman, Barger, Caleb Johnson, Dylan Werkman, and Troy Shores, the top 10.
Battle still raging on between the 3 cars of Nate Barger, Kevin Plegman, and Connor Hamilton, right behind John Coots and Michaela Boltz. Tanner Coster a little bit ahead of him now, but Boltz is still trying to get around Coots as he's right on the tail tank coming down the front straightaway.
The lead still at 2.1 seconds for Tyler Johnson in the 5 ride over the 97 of Tyler Coster and 13 of John Coots. Connor Hamilton still holding on to that top line. Plegman on top as well. Barger works the bottom. Your race leader's going to start to see some traffic. It's about a half a straightaway ahead of him. Lap traffic could play a factor in this one on a 3/4 of a mile racetrack.
That it could, but Connor Hamilton tags the wall a little bit. He was gaining momentum on the high side, looking to try and go around the outside of Michaela Boltz, who's dive bombing the bottom with Coots as he hits the wall again.
Big contact with the outside wall for the 3 of Connor Hamilton. He's got to get on defense now, goes to the bottom of the racetrack. Nate Barger sliding up the racetrack, and Plegman was able to grab some of that moisture on the cushion and get around Barger. Lots of action all going on behind your race leader. Coster continues to hold P number 2, but watch these cars, Ryan. I want you to watch them on the straightaways. It gets so easy now at this point on this racetrack to actually spin the tires down the straightaways and get sideways.
That we've been seeing so far, and they're bouncing them on down the front straightaways, trying to keep the nose down as Plegman hits the cushion, ripping around turns 3 and 4 to the front straightaway.
Just saw a change of line. That second place running Tanner Coster tried the bottom. He goes back to the top of the racetrack. Looking out front, the 5 of Tyler Johnson was just looking around on the racetrack, perhaps for a different line. I saw him get extremely loose off the corner. He is closing in on traffic. A couple of drivers not far in front of him, including, it looked like Timothy Allerdings, who got out of the leader's way.
Meanwhile, position change. Kevin Plegman gets around the outside of Michaela Boltz, and now they're side by side going through turns 1 and 2 to the backstretch. Kevin Plegman hits the berm once again. He gets the momentum down the backstretch, clears Michaela Boltz.
Right now, if you want to run that cushion, consider it gone. Just put that Hoosier against the concrete and let it eat. Inside of 10 laps to go tonight for the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Still good race for the 4th spot. Kevin Plegman, Michaela Boltz. Plegman has the spot as Boltz now runs in the 5th spot. He'll change groups, goes up to the top. Plegman gets into the wall. Boltz gets by him. And now Barger works to the inside of Plegman, and that's happening right in front of the 12 of Troy Shores. Shores has gained 13 positions in this A-Main.
as we were on that battle with about 4 cars, and then Plagueman hits the wall and is now getting enveloped by that battle, which is strung out a little bit more, but you should have seen it earlier. We were on it, and Troy Schurz, Nate Barger, now they're all caught up to Michaela Boltz. The battle is starting to rage on for position.
So many cars all close together. It's getting hard to tell them all who is there, as we're also into the mix of some lap traffic. Your leader is Tyler Johnson in the 5. He leads by 2 seconds over Tanner Koster. The 97 now starting to work in traffic. The bright pink car is Ollie Delfs. Koster works the bottom. Delfs will slide up. And right there, for position, is the 13 of John Coots. This track right now transitioning. The bottom is the preferred line for nearly all of the drivers on the racetrack. Not so much that that's the only place with grip. No, that's not the case. It's still slick down there. That cushion is just too hard to hit. Speaking of that lead, we just said it was 2 seconds. It's now 1.2 seconds and shrinking for Tyler Johnson.
Tanner Koster, trouble for John Coots, gets into the lap car. He's going to lose ground to Tanner Koster and get enveloped by the 23 of Michaela Boltz and Nate Barger. But as you said, the lead shrinking as we got more. Nate Barger into the wall. Trouble. Caution is out. 3 laps to go.
Oh my, is this going to change the complexity of this event? And in a big way. The lead had shrunk by more than a second for Tyler Johnson. Tanner Koster, he had his Jack's Custom Rods reel in hand. He had set the hook and was reeling in the race leader. But now everyone gets a chance to catch their breath, and we get set for a shootout in tonight's Impact Landscape Designs A feature.
That it is tough break for Nate Barger. Now he doesn't have the hood or the nose wing. I mean, that's a good little look. Maybe they should race him like that. That looks cool.
You know, it's lighter. We can say that, I guess. That's about the only thing that that has going for it. Aerodynamic shot. These cars, when you've got that much damage to the front end, Nate's probably holding far left or far right, just trying to get that car to go straight. So tough break for that driver. He'd been to the back, had worked his way nearly into the top 5 once again, and now chaos, and he's going to be starting deep in the field in that Barger Construction, Barger Electric 98. Ryan, I want to talk about these front runners, and in the closing laps here, under World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink rules that somehow we follow here on iRacing, this is going to be a single file restart. The bottom is the place to be. If you're someone like Tanner Koster, John Coots, Michaela Boltz, or back into the top 5, Dylan Werkman, what kind of trick do you have up your sleeve, possibly, to gain positions here, as everyone's going to be fighting for that bottom bit of real estate?
Everyone's going to be battling for that bottom bit of real estate, but some people have taken a risk to try and hit the cushion on the high side. I know we've seen Plagueman get up there, but I don't see him on the list up at the top, but Tyler Johnson will lead it. He's probably going to dive it to the bottom to defend that line. Tanner Koster, he's sitting nicely in second. He's been making his way up. He caught up ground to Tyler Johnson, so it's going to be tough, I think.
I'm not sure if I would want to be leading at this point, because whatever you do, the others are going to do something different. And boy, is this going to be interesting. A green-white checkered dash to end tonight's Impact Landscape Designs A main. By the way, that just set a new Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction record for green flag laps. We'll have to watch the replay, but that was a very, very long green flag run. Pace truck in, shootout time to settle this one at USA.
Green, white checkered, and Tyler Johnson off to the early race lead. He's going to hit the bottom to defend. Michaela Boltz to the outside of John Coots. So once he got coming down the back straightaway, he's got the position, gets around Coots, and now he's in the 3rd spot.
Does Michaela Boltz have anything? He'll go to the inside of Tanner Koster. Your back to front challenge driver is up there as we've got a lead change at the white flag. Tanner Koster around the outside of Tyler Johnson, and he'll dive to the bottom. Cars getting together on the front straightaway. We'll see if we race to the finish. Boltz around the outside of Johnson. Final set of turns. Boltz, $300 possibility. He's just got Koster in front of him. Final turn, front straightaway. It is back-to-back for Tanner Koster in the 97.
I think it's safe to say hard charger Michaela Bolts for second position, edges Tyler Johnson for that position. Tyler Johnson to third.
What a feature event here tonight. Let's give you a quick full field rundown, and wherever you're watching from, stick around. I want to hear from these drivers in the top three tonight. Tyler Johnson third, John Coots is fourth, and Dylan Werkman finishes fifth. Troy Shores from the B main goes plus 14 and is tonight's Hard Charger Award recipient from Handyman Auto Glass for Shores, again finishing in sixth. Kevin Plagman finishes seventh. Caleb Johnson finishes eighth. Skylar Devaney ninth. 10th place to Mitch Lupkis. Connor Hamilton, Bret Nielsen 11th and 12th. Bruce Jones was 13th. Kyle Roseboom 14th. Tony Rustad 15th. Nate Barger 16th. Austin Opdahl 17th. Travis Shores 18th. 19th to Oliver Delps, and Timothy Allerdings finishes 20th tonight in the Impact Landscape Designs A feature event. In victory lane, climbing out for the second consecutive week as a winner and 4th out of 5 time on the podium in this series, Tanner Koster. All right, we asked you last week, man, if you were sweating. You weren't quite then. You have to be now.
Oh, for sure. I don't even know what to say after that one. I did not think I was going to have anything for him. With like 7 or 8 to go, when I started kind of finding where I needed to be on the bottom, I started pulling him in, and I was like, oh, I don't know if he was running out of fuel or what was going on, but I was pulling 4 or 5 tenths a second a lap on him. I'm like, what? And then we got the caution. I'm like, oh, we've got something. We've got a shot here. And then with 2 to go, I don't know if he was just trying to get it to the end on fuel, but he lifted going into 3, so I just kind of sent it around the outside and got around him, and then just kind of held it for that last lap. I did not think I was going to be up here winning a second consecutive race.
All right, Tanner, I want you to do something with me here, okay? Close your eyes.
All right.
You're getting out of your car in a real victory lane. You've got people all around shouting. Your adrenaline's pumping. You decide, what the hell, I'm going on top of the wing. I'm going to do a wing dance. You climb on top of the car. You look up at the crowd. What do you scream at the top of your lungs after winning that one?
Something that's probably not appropriate for a broadcast.
Oh, I thought I was going to get you there.
We'll try to keep it PG here, but I'm pretty sure I was saying some stuff out loud that wasn't quite on the broadcast. But this is crazy, man. This is an awesome points night again. Trying to reel in those top 3. I know guys like John are hard to gain anything on when they're so dang consistent week in and week out. So this is awesome.
When you started to reel him in there towards the end, how tight were you gripping that steering wheel?
I thought I was going to pull it off. I mean,
User joined your channel.
It's crazy because, like, I've done a little bit of real racing before, and the adrenaline pumps just the same for this as it does a real car. It's insane.
It was an insanely awesome feature tonight. You've been on the podium 4 out of 5 feature events on this series. We go to week number 6, UMP Modifieds next week at Lanier. What do you think going into that one?
Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told you before the street stocks. It's not my greatest thing, but we saw how that worked out. But I'm sure we'll be doing some practice laps this weekend, trying to be ready for it.
Practice probably starts in about 10 minutes. We'll probably see you there. Tanner, congratulations on win number 2, the first repeat winner on this series this season. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we want to hear from our second place runner. Let's go to Ryan Dugan, who is standing by with that driver who charged from the back to the front, Michaela Volts.
Michaela Volts, what a run. Taking the back row challenge, almost getting that $300 bonus. How do you feel after that one?
I don't know. Probably would have felt better winning, I suppose.
Yeah, probably. But, I mean, going from the back, you got that hard charger award from Handyman Auto Glass, so you got that going for you, plus the second place winnings there. I mean, what were you thinking about going down as you were trying to battle it out with John Coots there?
I needed a caution bad. I just could not get around him. He was hogging the bottom, and I mean, that was the place to be. I never tried the middle. I felt like I was slower there and couldn't get by him. I was hoping for a caution. It never came until the end, and it was too late.
The caution came out, but tried all you could. Is there anyone else that you want to think? I saw you were chatting with some people down in the comment sections before the feature.
Yeah, they were looking to sponsor some cars or something, and I had told them, and just like anyone else that's still listening now, if you're looking to sponsor something, sponsor our league. Throw it in some bonus money to something, or add it to our points fund, and I'm sure our announcers will be more than happy to announce your business or your mean of cause that you're sponsoring for, and we can make something happen.
All right, one final question. How are you feeling as we look forward to seeing some UMP modified action next week?
You can bet I won't be taking the back row challenge in that deal.
All right, there. That is your second place podium finisher, Michaela Volts. Ice cold Michelob Michaela Volts there. Let's take it over to Sean with Tyler Johnson in the 5.
Tyler, not probably where you want to be on the podium here tonight. A strong performance. Take us through those last few laps. Everyone's wondering what happened to that 5 car. So what's the answer?
The answer is I ran out of fuel. Yeah, early in the race. Yep, early in the race I was running the top, and I was hitting the top, and I was getting away from Tanner, and I think it was John. And I was like, okay, this is hopefully the top stays in. And then I think it was about 15, 16 to go. I looked down at my fuel, and I am way short on fuel, and I'm like, oh my. So I kind of messed myself up there, and then the caution came out. Didn't help much, and I'm surprised I got it. I ran out of fuel out of 4.
Do you think without that last caution, think you had enough? You were still at about a 1.2 second lead. Do you think it was enough to hold on out front?
I really don't know. I think it would have been really close. I don't know. It was unfortunate, but I mean, a podium after the last 2 weeks, I'll take it. I wish I put in more fuel, but it happens.
Well, a few drivers have been bitten by that crew member going a little light on fuel here throughout our series, and tonight, unfortunately, that gremlin rears its ugly head with you. Have to say, masterful race up until that fuel started to sputter on you in that number 5 car. You look so strong here tonight. Anything you can take out of this, knowing how good you looked, knowing how good you were in the late models a few weeks back, as we set our sights towards the very tight linear speedway and the UMP modifieds next week?
I just know I'm going to practice there a lot. I suck at mods. I don't even know what I'm doing in those. I guess I'll do my best and up a car that's good enough to get on the podium, hopefully again, and maybe win it.
Nobody seems to like the idea of racing modifieds next week. And if you're not an iRacer and you're still listening out there, they are a handful to drive. For whatever reason, you just, your butt doesn't feel all the things the suspension is doing in the rear. Who is going to be good next week? Who are the ones to watch next Wednesday night?
Oh boy, I don't even know. I think Garrettson Jr. He's pretty good in those. I really don't know. It's going to be tough to say.
It is going to be quite the show next Wednesday night. Congratulations getting back to the podium here tonight in that number 5 car. Look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday night. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
So Tyler Johnson will finish 3rd here tonight. Michaela Volts on the next step on the podium. And on top, your first repeat winner for the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction is Tanner Koster, driving his Senski & Son transfer number 97. Ryan, what a show here tonight. We're going to have to look back. That may have been nearly 30 consecutive green flag laps here tonight on this track in that A main.
That was certainly a long green flag run, and we saw battles up near the front, in the middle, some heartbreak here and there, and once again, someone running out of fuel, but luckily able to stay on the podium. Tyler Johnson there coming out of 4, running out of fuel, but finally, we have a repeat winner, Tanner Koster, taking the home victory.
It took 5 events to get there, and we have it here tonight. Michaela Volts, 1 spot short of $300. So we'll try again next Wednesday night to give away some of John Krause's big money. that could happen next Wednesday. Ryan, again, big thank you to the entire crew over there with Advantage Racing TV. I wish you guys a great weekend this Friday at Rapid Speedway and Sunday at Raceway Park. And for everyone heading to races, have a great weekend. Be out there, be safe. And if you can't, make sure to stay home. Watch the races online. We know it's not quite like being there, but it's a pretty good second, and we will take that. So, Ryan, thanks for letting me be part of the show here tonight once again, and thanks for filling in for the holiness, his Reverend, Mr. Scotty Too Hottie, and we will look forward to next Wednesday night.
We do indeed look forward to next Wednesday night. I do distinctly remember a lot of people not looking forward to the Street Stocks Evolution. Look how well that show went. Now we see not a lot of people looking forward to the Modifieds. What kind of show are we expecting there?
And I know we've said it. Think after every race. I think we say, I think that's the best race we've had so far. I'm going to say tonight, week number 5 out of 5, it's been the best show. Wow, we haven't had a bad show yet, and this one here tonight I think goes to the top of the charts. What a race here tonight.
That it is. They seem to improve and impress every single week, every single time they hit the virtual dirt at all these different tracks and these different cars. What can't these guys do? But as with every week, Sean, send us off. Thank you for joining us. And here, send us off here, Sean.
Absolutely. So on behalf of everyone with Advantage Racing.tv, for Ryan Dugan, for Blake on the controls here tonight, and whoever else may be at their world headquarters chiming in the background and helping out tonight, I'm Sean Niestead saying have a great time until we see you at the track or next Wednesday night. Be safe, stay well out there, and we'll see you at the tracks, virtual or real. This has been an Advantage Racing.tv racing production.